so deserving. Yeah, I just wanna bless your holy name. When I get in your presence, there is nowhere I'd rather be. You alone are worthy, yeah. And you keep right on loving me. In your gaze, feel the warmth of your embrace, like the sunshine on my face. And I just wanna worship you. I just wanna give you all my praise. So deserving. You deserve all my worship. Oh, yes, you do. Bless your holy name. You are God. You are God. I wanna lift you high. Than my problems may seem. You have my heart. Gonna give my all to the one that gives me life and breath. I just wanna worship. I just wanna worship. Yeah, I just wanna give you all my praise. 'Cause you're so deserving. Oh, I just wanna bless your holy name. I just wanna worship. I just wanna worship. I just wanna worship. I just wanna worship. Give you the glory worship for everything that you've done. I just wanna love you, Jesus, with all of my heart and all of my soul. When I worship you, I get everything I need. There's healing in my worship, power in my worship. So I'm gonna lift my worship and bow before you. You're my everything. I just wanna worship, worship, worship. Oh, ooh, yeah, yeah.
The great exchange is when God takes your spirit of heaviness and he replaces it with the garment of praise. And so today we make this declaration that this change is forever. Let's go! You took my brokenness and you made me whole again. Wholeness looks good on me, and I'll never look the same again.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon. Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Right.
Ask Elaine, where to ask Elaine. Ask Elaine, where to ask Elaine. Ask Elaine, where to ask Elaine. Ask
Well, good afternoon. Afternoon. It's wonderful to be here. Um, Outside of the heat. Oh, goodness, that heat has been working on me. Y'all, please take care of yourselves, stay hydrated. Look out for our elderly and these little babies, too. People can't stand that heat. So, y'all, please look out for everybody. We want to welcome you to another edition of Ask Elaine. Thank you so much for tuning in. Those who've tuned in on AM or FM, and those who are on here with us live, welcome to Ask Elaine. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, welcoming you to the show. We are expecting two very special guests to join us today. We trust that they are on the way. And once they come in, they will join us here in the studio. We want to welcome Susan Smith. Thank you so much for being with us. And Rhonda Bird, who's the president of the Drive Time. And we want to say good afternoon to her as well. And then if y'all will like and share this as a reminder to some other people who might not be in place, might have forgotten, might be in the car, whatever. They've not yet tuned in to Ask Elaine, but we welcome you. We're just so happy. I was real pleased to get the comments from last week's show. They were very, very good comments. And a lot of people tell me that they learn a lot from this program, and that is our objective, and that is for you to get some information, something that will help you from day to day. We want to welcome Maria Bryant with the NAACP. Good afternoon to you. Dr. Mary Butler is on board with us as well, and so we will welcome these folks as they let us know that they're there in the chat. We know that there are a lot of you listening. Amzie Rouse Robinson is with us. We welcome you to Ask Elaine. Thank you. If y'all have any questions, anything that you would like for us to talk about or discuss, or find somebody to get you the information on, if y'all will put it in the chat or give us a call at 478-250-1444, and we will be glad to try and find some information for you. I wanted to, first of all, thank our sponsors. Thank you for being there. But we also want to thank our sponsors who help to keep this program on the air, especially Black Voters Matter. We also want to thank the organization Rep Georgia that Kimberlyn Carter is a part of. We also want to thank former Mayor C. Jack Ellis. We want to thank Sheriff David Davis, Senator David E. Lucas, former Mayor C. Jack Ellis. Did I say Sheriff David Davis? If I didn't, I'm saying it a second time. Anyway, we want to thank all of those folks who help to support Ask Elaine, and realize that it is important that people get information. And we want to bring that to you. And we hope that you are every week that you get some information. We just left the homegoing celebration for Deaconess Dorothy Miller Davis. Miss Davis was 98 years old. I hope you can see the front of the funeral bulletin. She was 98 years old. Her husband was the late Walter E. Davis, who was a well known builder, carpenter, brick mason. That was his specialty, I believe. But he was one of the ones instrumental in the successful implementation of the bus boycott way back. And he worked and worked and worked. He was also head of the local NAACP for a number of years. But this was his widow, Mrs. Dorothy Miller Davis. Her services were held today, starting at 1 o'clock at New Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church, where she was a 70-year member. She had been a member of that church for 70 years, and she didn't just sit there, she did some things. There's a picture on the back of her and her late husband here. But Ms. Davis did an awful lot. When after her husband passed away, she gave advice to a number of us, especially those of us who have come up since who are younger than she and her husband were, but they gave us advice on what was important for the community, and they were not just talkers; they were doers. And so, this Davis might not have been the most vocal person, but she was there working on behalf of this community, and for 98 years, she impacted Macon Bibb County. So we were there and paid tribute to her life. DA Anita Reynolds Howard was also there to pay tribute. Former council member Dr. Henry Ficklin was there. Herbert Denard, who previously served on the Water Board and was on the Board of Tax Assessors and a number of other organizations and entities in the community, was also there. And we joined together to pay tribute to the late Mrs. Davis and to read and present a proclamation from the office of the mayor. And so it was our distinct honor and privilege. And the statements were made, we're losing our history, and we really are. As these older folks, someone who's almost 100 years old, as they leave us, then that history leaves too. So I am just all for efforts to record our elderly citizens, those who've gone through a lot of changes. And I'm just afraid if we don't remember what we've all been through, we're going to end up repeating that or allowing it, especially with this Supreme Court and the likes of Donald Trump and some other folks who feel the same way as he does. We're going to let them take over and push us back. We want to welcome Harriet Taylor. Thank you so much. We're glad to have you here. And people tell me that when they miss a week, they think they're left out on something, and we always try to have something that leaves you smarter when you finish the program. Dr. Butler says sends her condolences and prayers to the Davis family and friends, and not just the Davis family, but all those families who have lost loved ones. We want to express our sincere condolences to you, and we are praying for your peace as you deal with this. Um, so I think we've gotten everybody everybody who's on the chat who has decided they're going to post comments. Um, we want to also express our sincere thanks to those of you, the 1,000 of you who on Sunday attended a service of unity and love, and that was held at the Mulberry Street United Methodist Church. Now, we as Black folks are used to hearing about somebody attacking us, somebody saying ugly stuff, the Supreme Court passing, making decisions on legislation that is just totally not in keeping with what we need to have happen. We're used to that. The Jewish community, from time to time, gets a wake up call as well. And it was just a shameful, shameful display a week or so ago. A group of neo Nazis were outside the temple here in Macon Bibb, and they left here and went to Warner Robins and also were in Cobb County, where they had these big old flags with Trump on them, with swastikas, Nazi swastikas on them. They were waving. They had what appeared to be a Jewish person um, doll that they hung in effigy outside on the sidewalk at the temple. And of course, that's frightening for people to experience that. Anything like this is frightening for anybody who experiences that kind of hatred. And so this community came together on Sunday It was not only the Jewish community, but it was other churches, the membership of Mulberry Street United Methodist Church. There were also religious leaders from other faiths in this community. Elected officials, the mayor was there, I was there, your senator, David Lucas, was there. A number of the other state reps and senators were also there. Had a lot of community leaders. You also had Gwen Westbrooks with the NAACP. You had my sister was there representing Bibb County Voters League. And there were just large numbers. Congressman Sanford Bishop was also there and spoke. Senator John Ossoff was there and spoke, as did a number of other. Jason McClendon, pastor of Community Church of God, was there. And there were a number of choirs that performed. The choir from Temple Beth Israel performed. There was a praise team from Community Church of God, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't leave anybody out. But it was a great, great tribute to this community that we were all coming together to say to these hate mongers, we aren't going to take this stuff, and we're all in this together. I would just caution everybody, though, that if we get upset and we turn out 1,000 people strong, to let people know that it's not okay to harass, intimidate, threaten, uh, uh, do these hateful kinds of demonstrations to the Jewish community. It's not okay to do it to Black folks either. It's not okay to do it to Indians, American Indians. It's not okay to do it to children and banning books. It's not okay to do it to our teachers where they're so intimidated until we're losing thousands of teachers across this country because people are harassing them. We're losing good public servants. We had our own supervisor of our Board of Elections who resigned a year or so ago because she was being harassed. And maybe you didn't know that, but that was what was happening with her. So it's not right when that happens to anybody. And I have no problem with us pulling together and denouncing hatred shown toward our Jewish brothers and sisters. But I think it ought to be shown no matter who it is that's being harassed and intimidated. And we ought to be out there showing that we do not like this. We complain about this being a majority Black city, but when it's time to vote, we won't go vote. We act like we are scared of power. We're scared of leadership. We should not be. You cannot tell me that there are not committed leaders who happen to be Black in this community, male or female, young or old, who are not capable of leading this community. So that brings me to next year's elections. We have elections for mayor and all of the the mayor's seat. Mayor is a commissioner as well, but holds that dual title of mayor and commissioner. There are 9 seats on the Bibb County Commission. All of them will be up for your vote next May. Um, there are 4 seats where there will not be an incumbent. There will not be a person who is in the seat now who is seeking reelection. In District 3 that I represent, I am term limited. I cannot run again for that seat. So that's kind of like an open seat. And some folks have already started announcing that they're interested in running. We'll talk with those people as we go along. Also, Commissioner Al Tillman, District 9, that seat will be open. And so we encourage, hello, Wade Horton. Horton, thank you for tuning in. Commissioner Al Tillman, District 9, that will be an open seat. There will not be an incumbent there. Commissioner Virgil Watkins, District 8, that seat will be open. There is not there will not be an incumbent because Commissioner Watkins can't run again for that seat. Then there's the District 4 seat that's now held by Mallory Jones. And Mallory is term limited, so he can't run again for that seat. He will have served the three uh, allowed terms. So that seat, District 4, will be an open seat. All the others, I'm assuming that the people who presently hold those commission seats will be running for reelection. But that should not stop you from seeking to run for office if you think that you can do a better job or an equally good job as someone who's in the seat, then by all means. But please be aware of what the particular position involves. Be sure that you have checked your residence and make sure that you are living in the district that you're seeking to run from. You have to have lived there a year in order to qualify to run. And so just have your stuff together. The first thing you probably ought to do is to read the charter. That would be very helpful so that you'll know what laws govern the community that you're seeking to run to represent. Dr. Butler says that we're definitely correct. She's talking about the hate. Hate should not be tolerated in any form of fashion toward anyone or any group in our community. And you're absolutely right. And if you're thinking about running, you set the example for others in the community. And you can be an advocate for peace in the community and for fairness in the community. Susan Smith says, so what are we going to do without you? We're going to have some folks to run for office who have a commitment, who are honest, who don't mind a fight if it's necessary, but you have other tools in your toolbox that you can use depending on the situation or the issue. And so there are some people out there I know who are strong, who are unbought, who are unbossed, who are not just wanting to be up there to be on TV. We need folks who are truly interested in this community and who want to serve. Now, your life is an open book. Once you offer yourself for office, your life is an open book. I'm sure there's some people that know some things about me that uh, or they think they do, but people find out everything that there is about you. You do anything and it becomes public record. So you have to make sure that you can withstand that kind of scrutiny. In other words, you cannot be a crook and run for office. They will find out the minute you put your name down there. It helps also if you have an occupation, if you're in a job, a stable job, because you do not need to have to depend, unless you're retired. You don't need to have to depend on that stipend from government for your livelihood, because I do believe that that leaves you susceptible to some things. So it's just important that you have your stuff together. Um, our call in number, please like and share. And those of you who are listening on AM and FM, thank you so much for tuning in. Um, and we just are glad to have you. We're waiting for two guests that were supposed to be here today, but we're going to go ahead and cover some things. We're always prepared here because people are very busy and sometimes they get crossed up, they get caught in traffic. Um, Maria wants to remind voters that you must register in the district that you're living to vote for the candidate that you are supporting. Check your location. And there are so many new laws too that govern voting and challenging voters and all of that. And there will be people who are just waiting to see something wrong with you or your information, and they will try and challenge you as a voter. So make sure that you're voting in the district where you live. Be sure when you register that your information is correct, and you can always call the Board of Elections 478-621-6622. 478-621-6622. Now, the Board of Elections is in the process of moving to the mall. They're going to have a lot of space. And when the elections come around and that's an early voting site, you'll be able to vote and you'll be inside of that space. And the Board of Elections is also working on developing a seating system, so that, if there's a long wait, there would be a place for you to sit and relax until it's your turn to cast your vote or take care of your business. So you're going to love what your taxpayer money is doing in that new mall. The Board of Elections is moving as we speak. They should have most of the equipment and everything already moved, and the staff. It's in that area of the old mall where Sears was located under, what is it, Burlington? And you will not recognize it. It's a wonderful space, clean, modernized, carpeted, cool, and it's your mall, your space. Work on the amphitheater is coming along very, very well. And if you want to see the time lapse um, film of the beginning all the way up to now on the amphitheater, you can go to Piedmont Construction. They have a time lapse film that shows you how the amphitheater is coming along. Maria reminds us that anyone can vote absentee, especially our seniors and college students who are not able to go vote. So there's no excuse for not voting. There are some folks that I know in wheelchairs, some people who have lost a limb. One of my football sons, Tyrone Tucker, who was just a dear friend of my son's. They played football at Northeast together. Tyrone passed away several years ago, but Tyrone had lost one of his legs, and Tyrone had a prosthesis. Tyrone went to vote every election, and he encouraged other folks to go vote. uh, Wade Horton is disabled. He was a former sheriff's deputy. He has a visual disability, but I bet you Wade votes every election, and his cousin, who also has a disability as far as her sight, I bet you she votes every time. So, what is your excuse? I just don't know what it would be. Give us a call. Those of you who have tuned in to Ask Elaine, thank you so very much for tuning in today. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, thanking you. And it looks like we're still waiting for our guests, but we're going to keep on giving you information until our guests come. Hopefully, they are on the way. There were going to be two great guests too, and if they don't show up, we're going to reschedule them. Something has happened. We want you to know that one guest is Kimberlyn Carter, who is the director of Rep Georgia. She is involved in recruiting people to run for office and helping them to put together a campaign where they have a possibility of winning. So that's some information that some of you who are interested will want to hear. And also, we have Andrea Cook, who works in mental health, and she was going to talk to you about making violence prevention and mental health, where those two things intersect. We have Coroner Leon Jones on the phone. Coroner, hello.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm just great. You're right on time. Thank you so much for calling in.
I have a problem figuring out why people. I'm just why people don't vote. Now,
Yeah.
if and that's one of the reasons our history should be taught. It should never be ceased. I have a real problem with that because people don't. A lot of people, younger people, don't know the history. They don't know what the Edmund Pettus Bridge is.
No,
They have
no.
no idea what that is. You know where I'm
Right.
leading. You know where I'm going with that
I know.
conversation.
I know. Yeah.
Okay. They don't realize the German shepherds and the water hoses that would turn on people that
Yeah.
struggle. I'm the first black coroner of Bibb County. I don't
Mm,
brag about it. I don't talk about it because nobody wants to recognize me the first black coroner of Bibb County because nobody wants to talk about dead people. Nobody wants to coroner until they got a death certificate that sold
yeah.
up a $150 check. Then everybody wants the coroner. Okay? But I had people walk and get beat up, white people too,
That's right.
for me to be able to be the first black coroner of Bibb County.
Right.
So,
You're
we
right.
had people that was abused, shot, killed, and everything else. And white people was beat, shot, and killed too for me to be the first black coroner of Bibb County. My
Uh,
issue is you can stay at a nightclub all night long, but you can't stay in the voting booth 30 minutes.
right.
You can
right.
stay at Taylor County Drag Strip in Reynolds and Twiggs County Drag Strip in Twiggs County and Headhunters in Putnam County all day long in 100-degree weather, drinking
That's right.
Gatorade and water, but you can stay in the voting line 30 minutes.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I get the same excuse. I don't want to vote because I want to go to jury duty. I got things to do. I got an office. I got a blog. I got a crew. I've been hearing that for years,
Yeah.
and it ain't gonna change. It's not gonna change until
Well,
until people realize the importance of voting.
right, right. And there, by the way, there's nothing that's going to keep you off of the jury list. If you're thinking that if you don't register, then your name gets, they compile the jury pool from a whole lot of lists, and the voting list is just one of those. So not registering to vote and not voting is not going to keep you from serving on the jury. And then when
I
you
didn't know that.
are on when you are on trial, or Lil Poo Poo or Shamika or somebody that you love is
Shamika,
on trial, you
me.
will wish that they had a jury of their peers, including some black folks, some white folks, all kinds of folks.
This is true, but I've always had that question. I mean, you can do this, but you can't do that. And
Right.
voting is very important. I mean,
It is.
as my late mama said, you got people who have died, got beaten up, and everything for your right to vote.
Right.
Vote.
Right.
I don't care who you're voting for. I don't care. Just vote. Listen,
Well,
I want to
yeah.
give somebody an opportunity to
No,
call in.
hold on a second.
And
I appreciate you calling in because you always give us good information. Out there in that heat, can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing? And there's something else that you're doing. I know you've got an event coming up, a back to school giveaway
yes,
event,
ma'am.
and then you're going
Yes,
around
yes, ma'am.
unlocking folks' cars when so tell us
Yes,
about those
ma'am.
things while I've got you here.
Yes, ma'am. I will unlock any car in Bibb County free of charge. The only thing I ask is you buy a homeless person a meal. I don't
Uh,
charge not one penny unlocking your car. I will not tear it up getting in there. I
mhm.
prefer not to do it at night. That'll keep Sheila from raising King, her and Chandler. But anyway, and Shamika Williams at Municipal Court. Go ahead and throw all them out. But I will unlock anybody's car at any given time. Most of them are Hondas. I can't quite figure that one out yet. Well, all you got to do is call me, and I would do it. Now, a couple of weeks ago, a lady called the 911 center, and they failed to give my number out. And the girl made the comment, he ain't under contract. I'm not giving his number out. And so they might want to stay in their lane down there, wherever.
Yeah,
One,
yeah.
get that out the way. Number two is getting hot. Check on your neighbors. Every year I say this, check on your neighbors. A body laying in a house 2 or 3 weeks decayed, and the next door neighbor is less than 5 feet, that don't make any sense. All right? Drink plenty of water if you're working outside. Do not leave kids or pets in the cars unattended. Even with the engine running, the engine can shut off. Okay, that's the last thing you want to do. Women that carry the kids to the daycare, nursery, put your pocketbook by the car seat. So you're going to get your pocketbook, so you're going to get your child.
Yeah.
Okay, leave a crack in the window. The heat build-up will crack the windshield. I've seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
Drowning. Stay out of Amerson Park River. I don't care who like it. I don't care who don't like it. I'm the one me and the Miley boys and Luann and Richard are the ones that do the death notification.
Yeah.
Stay out Emerson Park.
How many people have drowned out there? I've often wondered.
I want to say 15. I spoke with Councilman Tillman a couple of months ago. I think y'all passed a bill. I mean, not a bill.
Yeah, new rules.
Ordinance.
Rules.
Y'all passed an ordinance about minors and got some more life jackets out there. Amerson River is dangerous.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a guy, Alicia Hartman's son, say he saved 3 guys a couple of weeks ago. Amerson River is dangerous. Stay out of the river, period.
It has the sinkholes and it has the.
It got that current going on that big rock. That's right. Stay out the river. If you can't swim, don't get in the water, but stay out the river, period.
Right.
Amerson Park is dangerous. End of story. It's dangerous. Those are my tips, and that's it.
Okay. One other thing that you always cover when you call in, and that is interaction with the police, especially for our young folks. I think it's a tribute to our law enforcement folks that we have not had some of the kinds of incidents. I think the sheriff is to be commended, and others who work closely with the Citizens on Patrol and a number of other entities that work together all the time to make sure that we don't have the kind of things going on, that the high profile killings that we have in other places. But we know that things are not perfect. But your advice to someone, nobody wants to be stopped by the police. Nobody does. So you have to be ready when and if something like that happens. So walk us through what our responses should be.
It's plain and simple. Comply with the police. I started this campaign last year. I got some signs up that says comply with the police. When you operate a motor vehicle, there are certain things you must have in your possession. Okay, you can see my focus interview. Valid insurance, valid tag, valid registration. Okay, you must have the insurance on your vehicle. If you are paying child support, your driver's license could be suspended and you not receive the letter from the DMV. The child support does not send you a letter saying you're behind on child support. They just send it to the DMV, they suspend your license. When you get pulled over by the police, they show them the suspended license. Don't get mad with him or her or doing their job. Do your job, pay your child support for one thing, and check on your business. Now, when I get pulled over by the police, comply. The side of the road and the parking lot is not a place to have a urinary Olympics with the police. You know what that is.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. That's not the place to have a urinary Olympics with the police. Okay? Handle it the next day. We had a saying at the adversaries. I'm going home to my wife in the morning, and it's not going to be in a body bag.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's what you do. Handle it next morning. I got pulled over I got detained in Byron, Georgia by a Byron police after I produced 3 pieces of identification. But see, that was a trap there.
Yeah.
That was 6 months before the coroner's election. But the senator had already told me, beware of the trap.
Yeah.
Okay, she thought I was gonna give her a hard time so she can say what? Put your hands behind your back.
Yeah.
Don't get
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
list for criminal
Hmm.
trespass. Next day, the Telegraph, Canada for Coroner's Office, arrested in Byron.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a trap. But I had
Yeah.
already got trained by David Lucas, Robert Brown, Lily Gant, and all the people that got the experience. That was a trap. When the police were yelling at me, you know what I was saying? Yes, ma'am. No,
Mm.
ma'am. Yes, no,
But you
ma'am.
have to be ready. You have to practice that because the
You have
natural
to think. You
inclination,
have to think.
you don't want to be stopped. And then if you haven't done anything, then you're going to start talking about and trying to explain. But
It's
you have to be
exactly.
ready for these situations.
When she got out of her car yelling at me, I knew then I was dealing with a fool. But see,
Hmm.
I'm trained to deal with a fool. When she was
Hmm.
yelling and screaming, I was saying, yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, and no. All I was trying to do was help a little girl get to Fort Valley State. I wouldn't know
Hmm.
the little girl if she came in and slapped me. She wouldn't know about it. And the thing about it is, here's the way to trap. I knew it was a trap. 3 months later, when I got ready to get a campaign donation from a law enforcement officer, you know what he said? What about the little girl in Byron? How did he know
Oh,
about the little girl in Byron?
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But the
Yeah.
centers that already trained and schooled me said, beware of the trap.
Yeah. Yeah.
I already know that. Comply with the police. It's simple. Valid tag, valid registration, valid driver's license. If you're behind on check on your business. My late mama said, handle your business.
Yeah.
That's all you got to
Yeah.
do. I appreciate
Yeah.
the time, Commissioner.
Well, we appreciate you. Now, as far as your mental health, we know that you have a tough, tough job. One of our viewers here was saying that you're one of the best coroners Macon has ever had. Dr. Butler said that. We want to welcome our sister Nita to the show. But how do you deal with discovering and being the one on the scene? You're always on the scene when there is a death. How do you deal with that?
Well, Sheila said I'm not stable anyway. So anyway, but, I start my day with prayer every morning. I
Uh-huh.
start my day with prayer every morning before I even get. And yes, I pray for Biden. Yes, I pray for Trump. Yes, I pray for the county commissioners and the mayor. And I had a news anchor ask me, "Do you really pray for all those people?" I don't have no reason to lie. My mama taught me to pray all the time, not when times get rough. Pray all the time. And so I start my day with prayer. Wherever I do, wherever I do, wherever I see, God is standing there with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good way to do it because you have a job that's it's super tough. It is
It's
so
tough.
tough.
It's tough.
Um,
It's tough. It is.
I want you to talk just a little bit more about people looking out for each other, and especially in this heat, and then when it's cold as well. Now, there are resources in the community. The Brookdale Resource Center for a lot of
Yes, ma'am.
folks. There are a lot of resources, and if somebody is referred over there, they get the wraparound services. All of the different things are available if they want to access those services. But talk about folks, just the public looking out for other people. What, if you see your neighbor, you haven't seen your neighbor in 2 weeks, shouldn't that be a reason, a red flag, a reason for alarm?
Absolutely. If you haven't seen your neighbor in 2 weeks, the grass is high, the car hasn't been moved, mail has come out in the mailbox. Well, people don't take the newspaper now; they get everything online. But if they
Mhm.
got a newspaper stacked up, mail coming out the line, car ain't been moved, something's wrong. If that person's not in a hospital or nursing home, you need to check on your neighbors. It's sad for a body to lay in a house 2 or 3 weeks decaying, and we got to suit up and get the fire department with air tanks to go in the house to get the body out. Everybody
Mhm.
wants to be private. I understand that. Nothing wrong with privacy. Some families are disconnected, and that's their choice. I had a guy call me and say, I'm in hospice, okay? I don't want my family all being notified. I said, you need to get some papers, get a lawyer. He said, when I die, cremate me. I don't care what you do with my ashes. Okay, that sounds good, but put it in writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. A
check
lot of
on your neighbor.
families lose stuff having to go through probate and attorneys and all kinds of stuff because they don't have their stuff in writing, and
Exactly.
so
You
they
need a
end up
will. You need a
losing.
pre. Exactly. Let me tell you something. We don't want to talk about death, but we all got to go down that road.
Yeah.
Okay, have it in writing. Okay, if I get killed right now, Sheila know what to do. All right.
Hmm.
If Sheila get killed and die, I know what to do. Sheila
Hmm.
wants a direct cremation. She don't want no service. She don't want no memorial. She don't want nothing. That's in her, and that's what she wants. She don't want nothing. She said, cremate and go on. Well, me, I want to be dressed out. White shirt, blue suit, yellow tie. You know the deal.
Yeah, I know the deal.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know. But anyway, everybody got their own
Pastor,
thing. That's what
Pastor
I'm
Lisa Watson says hello. And Sharon
Sister,
Wolfa
sister,
says
I said, hey,
blessings to you, Coroner Jones. And she says, I remember your mother, Mrs. Tommy Lee Jones. We all went to
that's
New
right.
Zion Baptist Church, and she says she's a
That's
part of
right.
the Kinsley family. So we've got
That's
some
right.
really good folks listening in to Ask Elaine. Um,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
we thank you. We're going to invite you on for an hour show very
Okay.
soon. And if you
All
see
right.
Kimberly Carter out there, you tell her that she's late for her interview on Ask
Okay.
Elaine. So,
Yeah, I'm at the
in
cemetery with the funeral from New Pleasant Road.
Oh, are you? Yeah, we were there earlier, and it was a very, very nice service. It was our honor to read and present a proclamation in honor of Deaconess Dorothy Miller Davis. Her husband, the late Walter E. Davis, was one of the civil rights pioneers locally. He's a little short
Yes,
man,
ma'am.
but he carried a big punch, and he did a lot
Yes, ma'am.
for the community. And we remembered him from when we were young activists out there, and he was one of our leaders, one of the people who
Yes, ma'am.
paved the way. So we thank you for everything that you do, and we appreciate your call into Ask Elaine.
Thank you, man. Have a good day.
All right, you too.
All right. Bye.
All right, that young man, I tell you, when you see him, you ought to just, either stop and pray for him, or you ought to just tell him how much you appreciate what he does, because he just does a job that I mean, only a few people can handle that kind of job. Call us if you have comments or questions that you would like us to deal with today. You can call us at 478-250-1444. We are extending our sympathies to the Davis family in the loss of their matriarch, 98-year-old Deaconess Dorothy Miller Davis, a 70-year member of New Pleasant Grove. We also want to congratulate the citizens of Macon Bibb County who came together this past Sunday for a service of unity and love. And we want to thank all of the folks who participated. They saw that the temple was not going to be large enough for the number of people who wanted to come, especially since Congressman Sanford Bishop was slated to come. Mayor Miller spoke. Uh, Senator John Ossoff was there. Senator Lucas was there. NAACP President Gwinnett Westbrooks was there. I attended. Commissioner Bill Howell was there, and there were a number of other state and local people who were there to take part in sending the message that we're just not going to tolerate hate in this community. And how dare a group of bandits and neo Nazis come into this town and set up a doll that was supposed to be a Jewish person that they hung from the lamp pole down by the temple and attempted to harass Jewish citizens in the community. And they got a very strong pushback from that. There were over 1,000 people there. A number of people I've already mentioned. My sister was there. I was there. The senator, a number of other people, a lot of ministers were there. My point that I made earlier, and I hope that you'll agree, that not just this time, but at all times when there are attempts at harassment, intimidation, terror, whenever we have those kinds of situations, everybody needs to come together and be an advocate for everybody, not just one time, but every time. And so I do hope that there will be some folks who will come to the next commission meeting and you will express the fact that you want to see people turn out no matter what group it is that's being harassed or there's an attempt at intimidation or whatever. Sharon Woolfolk says, "Blessings to you, Cardinal Jones," and we've seen that she remembers his mother, and they're all part of the. She's a part of the Tinsley family. Um, they're asking if there's another voter info rally coming up. The local Democratic Party, which is led by Joshua Billings, there are plans. As a matter of fact, Monday evening, there is a meeting of the Democratic Party, and I'll try and post the information on that meeting on this site so that people can go back and review it and come if you like. But there are going to be a number of events in this community because Macon is one of those strong Democratic strongholds. Macon always votes Democratic. However, in the last election, when Senator Warnock was running, 30,000 Black folks did not vote. He was in a close race. 30,000 Black folks did not vote. And so, if we leave all of that out on the table, we don't exercise our right to vote, then what do we expect? Do you expect that you're going to be able to get the services that you are entitled for, that you pay for? Do you think that? Um, no, no. Pastor Lisa says that she viewed the Unity service live, and it was a great Unity service. And Nita says that that Sunday was awesome. It was indeed great, Macon coming together. But one of the solutions to our problem in our community is not to get out and just fuss all the time. There's a time to raise your voice and let your voice be heard. But uh, during elections is an opportunity for you to let your voice be heard. And no one can take your vote away from you unless you let them take it. If you let them take it, yeah, yeah. There are a lot of them that want to take it away from you. A number of them are putting laws in place down in Florida. Poor, demented DeSantis is putting stuff in place it seems like every week. We have the Supreme Court that we're having to fight. And why we can't go ahead and place three other folks on the Supreme Court, I don't know. Why could we not pass as the first agenda item in the Biden administration? Why could we not pass the John Lewis voting rights law and then the other law that's a companion voting rights? Whenever you have an agenda that you want to get through, you have to lay the groundwork first. And so, first thing that should have been done was the passage of those voting rights laws so that all the other things that have been put in place could not be undercut. That's just my opinion. What do you think? Randy Crawford has joined us. Um, and Pastor Lisa is saying that we need to respond the same energy when blacks deal with hate crime. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Everything is just as powerful and just as detrimental as anything else. And just like 1,000 people turned out to say to our Jewish brothers and sisters that we are against this hate, that we are with you and we don't want you intimidated or threatened or uh, 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 hangings taking place, dolls being hung in effigy and swastika flags and Trump flags and all of that. We don't want that for you. But what we are saying is, you don't need to want that for us. There's a saying that somebody had at the unity ceremony, and they were saying, they came for this group, and I wasn't a member of that group, so I didn't do anything. Then they came for the next group, and I wasn't a member of that group, and so I didn't do anything. Then they came for somebody else, and I wasn't black, or I wasn't a child, or a senior citizen, or whatever, or Muslim or whatever. And I didn't do anything because I wasn't a member of that group. Then they came for me. I was a member of that group. And because I had not done anything, because I wasn't a member of these other groups, there was nobody left to be an advocate for me. There was nobody to stand up for me. So we all sink or we swim together in this situation. So we've got to look out for each other. Now, I'd be willing to bet you that there were some folks who were at the unity ceremony who probably voted for Trump. I dare say. But if they are thinking, they will now say, Trump is the one who's fueling all this stuff. Trump has made some steps and is still making hate statements every day. Now, you have to be a real nut if you're on trial, you're going to go on trial. And you talk about the DA, you talk about the Secret Service, you talk about the FBI, you talk about all these folks that you've got to go before, and you don't think that there's anything that will happen to you. And thank you, Patrick, for joining us. Patrick is posting in our chat information, news articles. He has one on the Supreme Court and the possible expansion. Patrick, I just don't see why there is any hesitation in expanding the Supreme Court, because they dealt with affirmative action and they said, you black and brown folks don't get any advantage anymore. And thank goodness there are some places where there are majority black populations where folks are saying, now, y'all, wait a minute. We're not going to put up, you think you're going to act on what the Supreme Court said, but look at your population. Look at the area that you're in. Look at the makeup of that population. So, don't try that stuff here. But unfortunately, everybody doesn't have a majority black or a majority minority population that will go to bat for the rights of the folks in that community. Pastor Lisa uh, says that the room was full of Trump voters. Yeah, because people, in their ignorance and their own feelings about race, um, it's only when they are threatened, when they start to feel like, well, we got to pull together. But when Trump is out there talking about everybody else, a lot of people think, well, my skin is white ish and his skin is white ish. So he's not talking about me. Oh, yes, he is. He's talking about anybody who's not rich and a part of his social club, what he says. Trump is the most dangerous thing that I've seen to democracy. I've never seen anything like that. And to have people who will go along with him and agree with him is awful. Pastor Lisa Watson says the Evangelical Ministers Alliance Political Forum is planned for early October at Bethel AME Church. And I do hope that there will be a number of others, because we've got to let people know who all's running. And speaking of who's running, we I have heard of one or two people who are interested in running for office, but some of those folks bother me. Some of them have never shown any interest at all in doing anything in the community. They've never taken a stand. Uh, as far as I know, they're not members of the NAACP. I know that they don't support the Bibb County Voters League. I never see them taking, they did not take a stand when we were talking about rolling back, pushing back the fares that Macon Transit was planning to increase. So these folks can't tell me anything. They can't come to me and say, I want to run for office to represent you, because you haven't shown me over time that you were interested in doing anything when you weren't running for office. So don't come to me. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but don't come to me now and saying you want to run to represent somebody. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. Well, our guests did not make it today. We're going to have to reschedule them. But next week, we're going to have none other than Alex Habisham as our guest. And we're going to make sure he knows the way here. We feel certain that something happened with our guests, and we will find out and reschedule them. But we want to thank you for tuning in to Ask Elaine. As always, we hope that you've gotten some information, something that you didn't know. If there's some information that you need, please, always, you know how to get in touch with me. So, on behalf of everybody here, on behalf of the sponsors, on behalf of all the citizens of this community who have a right to know what's going on that they're paying for, want to thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again next Wednesday, 3 o'clock, for another edition of Ask Elaine.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB.